When storms rage and darkness surrounds you, it's easy to feel abandoned, as if God has turned away. But hear this truth: God is never absent. Even when you can't see Him, even when you don't understand, He is working in the unseen. Think of Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. To the world, he was forgotten, lost in suffering. But in the unseen, God was shaping his destiny, preparing him to rise to power and save a nation. Think of Job, stripped of everything, his wealth, his family, his health. Yet his faith endured. He couldn't see God's purpose in the pain, but in the unseen, God was writing a story of restoration, one that would testify to his faithfulness for generations. And above all, think of Jesus. As he hung on the cross, his disciples lost hope, believing that darkness had won. But in the unseen, God was orchestrating the greatest victory, conquering sin and death once and for all. Your struggle is not in vain. Your tears are not unnoticed. When it seems like nothing is changing, when the weight is too heavy to bear, remember, God is moving behind the scenes. 2 Corinthians 5:7 reminds us, we walk by faith, not by sight. We often pray for answers, for relief, for a sign that God has not forgotten us. But God does not work on our timeline. He works on His. What feels like a delay is often divine preparation. What seems like silence is actually God positioning you for something greater. Look at David, anointed as king while still a shepherd. Yet he spent years running from Saul, hiding in caves, facing battles he never asked for. He could have given up. He could have questioned God. He could have surrendered to despair. But instead, he trusted in the unseen. And in God's perfect time, David was crowned, not just as a king, but as a man after God's own heart. Maybe you're in a season of waiting. Maybe your prayers seem to go unanswered. But hear this: waiting is not wasting when you trust in the Lord. Every struggle, every delay, every trial is defining you, strengthening you, shaping you for the blessing that is coming. Isaiah 40:31 promises, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." The enemy wants you to believe that your situation is hopeless, that your pain is permanent. But we serve the God of resurrection, miracles, restoration. The God who speaks to the storm and says, "Peace, be still." When Peter walked on water, he only began to sink when he took his eyes off Jesus and focused on the waves. The storm didn't pull him down. His doubt did. But even in that moment of weakness, Jesus reached out and pulled him up. God is doing the same for you. Right now, in your storm, in your pain, in your doubt, He's reaching out His hand and saying, "Do not fear, for I am with you." No matter how fierce the storm, no matter how long the night, morning is coming. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. So hold on, stay faithful, trust in the unseen, because God is not finished with you yet.